here to discuss the road infrastructure in Tobago and its impact on the environment. A road, in its most basic form, is a wide way leading from one place to another. The question is not so much what a road is, but what a road does and how its development affects transportation. The most important function of a road is allowing for transportation. Development is directly related at improving the welfare of a society through appropriate social, political, and economic conditions. The expected outcomes of such development are quantitative and qualitative improvements in human capital, as well as physical capital, such as infrastructure, utilities, transport, telecommunications. We at the DIPU are concerned about the physical capital, more so for this discussion, the transportation and the road infrastructure that supports it. The transportation sector is an important component of the economy and a common tool used for development. This is even more so in a global economy where economic opportunities are increasingly related to the mobility of people, goods, and information. A relation between the quantity and quality of transport infrastructure and the level of economic development is quite apparent. High-density transport infrastructure and highly connected networks are commonly associated with high levels of development. When transport systems are efficient, they provide economic and social opportunities and benefits that result in positive multiplier effects. When transportation systems are deficient in terms of capacity or reliability, they can have an economic cost, such as reduced or missed opportunities and a lower quality of life. Proper road infrastructure leads to several goals: large-scale production of goods, increased competition for goods, increased land value. The road network of Tobago still has a large proportion of its roads being coastal. This is especially prevalent in the east of the island. Only in the more developed western portion of the island are interior roads quite common. The reason for this is generally terrain and the population centers, as the terrain in east of Tobago is quite characteristic of being very hilly, and the villages are all coastal. There has been some recent times to develop interior roads in the east. The most noticeable of these new interior roads being the Roxborough or Bloody Bay Road. A road itself depends on many characteristics, and these all lead to positive or negative impacts upon the environment. The negative impacts of roads are air pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, and poaching. Air pollution from cars, trucks, and other motor vehicles are found in higher concentrations near major roads. People who live, work, or attend school near major roads appear to have an increased incidence of severity of health problems associated with air pollution exposures. These persons normally demonstrate higher levels of asthma, cardiovascular disease, impaired lung development in children, preterm or low birth weight infants. Research findings indicate that roadways generally influence air quality within a few hundred meters, about 500 to 600 feet from the vicinity of a heavily traveled roadway. This distance will vary by location, time of day, or year. The type of vehicles and fuels used, traffic activity, wind speed, and direction can all have big effects on pollutant levels near major roadways. Generally, the more traffic, the higher the emission. However, certain activities like congestion, stop-and-go movement, or high-speed operations can increase emissions of certain pollutants. Noise. Roadway noise is a collective sound energy emanating from motor vehicles. It consists chiefly of road surface, tire, engine, aerodynamic, and braking elements. Road noise may also be the result of road maintenance or construction. Traffic operation noise is affected significantly by vehicle speeds, since sound energy roughly doubles for each increment of 10 miles an hour in vehicle velocity. An exception to this rule occurs at very low speeds, where braking and acceleration noise dominate over aerodynamic noise. Trucks contribute a disproportionate amount of noise, not only because of their large engines, but also the height of the diesel stack and the aerodynamic drag. There's also significant interior noise present inside motor vehicles. In fact, we are not generally aware that these levels are high because experience has led us to expect that these levels are safe. The type of road surface also contributes to noise levels. Chip seal type and groove roads are quite loud, and concrete surfaces without spacers are very quiet. Our roads in Tobago are asphaltic surfaces, and they're about in between the concrete and the chip seal. Roadway geometrics and surrounding terrain are interrelated, since the propagation of sound is sensitive to the overall geometry. Simply put, sound will be diminished when the path of sound is blocked by terrain, or will be enhanced if the roadway is elevated. There is need to pay attention in this area, as quieter roads and quieter vehicles do lead to reduced stress levels and an appearance of serenity in the environment. Water pollution. Our road surfaces are generally impervious. During rainstorms and other precipitation events, these surfaces, built from materials such as asphalt and concrete, carry polluted storm water to drains. Instead of allowing water to percolate through the soil, this causes lowering of the water table and flooding, since the amount of water that remains on the surface is greater. Most of our road drainages in Tobago systems discharge the runoff untreated into streams, rivers, and oceans. As the runoff flows over the impervious surfaces, it accumulates debris, chemicals, sediment, or other pollutants that can drastically impact water quality. One of the largest contributions of pollution to stormwater runoff is from roadways. The common pollutants, just to name a few: gasoline, motor oil, heavy metals, trash. Eroding soils or poorly maintained construction sites can often lead to increased sedimentation in runoff. Sedimentation often settles to the bottom of water bodies and can directly affect water quality. Excessive levels of sediment in water bodies can increase the risk of infection and disease through high levels of nutrients present in the soil. These high levels of nutrients can reduce oxygen, boost algae growth, while limiting native vegetation growth. Limited native vegetation and excessive algae has the potential to disrupt the entire aquatic ecosystem. This effect is seen in our present reefs currently. Excessive levels of sediment and suspended solids have the potential to damage existing infrastructure as well. Sedimentation can increase runoff by plugging our existing drainage systems, thereby increasing the amount of runoff on the surface, leading to flooding. Poaching. Now, it was previously mentioned how increased runoff leads to unintentional deaths of local flora and fauna. But roads that run through forests that house edible animals may encourage or facilitate poaching. Especially in poor areas, the construction of roads has promoted not only poaching for personal consumption, but also for sale. Similarly, the construction of roads in a forested area has also promoted illegal logging, as it becomes easier for illegal loggers to transport the wood. These are just some of the various ways that our existing roads impact the environment around us. Now, there are many different policies currently being looked at for implementation by Trinidad and Tobago. To mitigate some of these negative environmental effects, there is currently ongoing study and discussion. Biofuel studies. This is assessing the viability of using biofuels in the transportation in Tobago. Ride sharing, reduction of the use of private cars by developing a plan for the promotion of ride sharing among the population of Tobago. Vehicle energy efficiency and fuel switching, reduction of fossil fuels in the transport sector, converting the PTSC and Maxi fleet into CNG fueled engines. Now, Tobago is not alone. All countries face the same dilemma that face us in our road infrastructure's impact on the environment. Many countries have passed legislation to promote more environmentally conscious decisions when planning new roads and transportation routes. Many new technologies exist to reduce vehicle emissions. It is not a matter of reinventing the wheel, but learning what was done before and adapting the strategies to fit the needs of a developing Tobago. Thanks.